Figuras, bienvenidos a este episodio de Play Sports Podcast y en esta ocasión directamente desde Anaheim, California. Estamos en United Soccer Coaches en el Media Row. Vamos a platicar con un entrenador de fútbol de la Universidad de Marshall. Cuenta con un campeonato nacional de División 1 en NCAA y tiene un récord como entrenador de 178 ganados, 52 perdidos y 26 empatados. Él es Chris Grassie. Chris, first of all, thank you. And second of all, sorry for my Spanglish. I'm going to try to do my best to express myself. And I did a little introduction of what I found in Google and the convention sent me. But I want to know yourself better and our audience can understand who is Chris.
Yeah, okay. No problem.
Perfect. The first one. Where are you from? How old are you? Are you married? You're American? You're English? Where are you? The basic of Chris.
The basic of me. Well, I was born in Newcastle upon Tyne in England, so Newcastle United would be the team in the region.
Nice.
Moved to Canada as a teenager, so went to high school in Canada. So became a Canadian citizen, and then moved down to the US. Became a US citizen in 2019. So. A little bit of a global citizen, happily married, beautiful wife, two kids, 10 and 7, boy and a girl. So, pride and joy, I guess, would be my family.
Did you play soccer?
Oh yeah, I played soccer a little bit. So I played in the UK, and then obviously played. We didn't really have an academy at the time, but we had what we call a School of Excellence, and we used to play for the schoolboys team, so Newcastle Schoolboys and Newcastle School of Excellence, which later became the Newcastle United Academy. But that wasn't available. I was 11, 12, kind of in that range, and then moved to Canada and just trying to find, myself, new country, what we're going to do. Soccer was kind of something that I connected with to, maybe go back to my roots a little bit. And Canada is interesting. There was a lot of, first generation Italians, Scottish, Jamaican, Serbian, Croatian. So there was a lot of soccer culture there that was interesting to play a lot of Brits, Scots and English and Irish there. That it was kind of like a culture within a culture, and sort of found my feet in there and trying to figure out how to continue the soccer dream, and the advice I was getting was to go to the US and go go play in college. So I got a scholarship and came down and played in college, and then went back to the UK and played pro, bounced around for a couple of years, and then was actually kind of deciding between, got offered a pro contract, and then I also had a coaching job at Marshall actually at the time, and was a grad assistant to continue to get education. I was like 26. I realized I've been at 5 clubs, 2 different countries, not really going to be a superstar, not really going to make it, but I really had a passion for coaching. I loved the game and being around the game, and kind of I still surprised myself that I made the decision to take the smart route and go be a coach and continue my education. And went to Marshall there as an assistant coach, and then went to University of Michigan as an assistant coach, and then took over my own program, Division 2, University of Charleston. We were very successful, probably the number 1 team in the country for 3 years, and then came back to Marshall as a head coach, and I've been there ever since, and kind of built the program from where we started, and had to improve. We were like 155 maybe in the rankings, and then we kind of built it all over. This year we finished number 1 in the RPI, so it's kind of it's been a long journey, but very fun.
And what position did you play?
That's a good question. There's a rumor that I was a goalkeeper.
You were a goalkeeper?
Professionally I was a goalkeeper. Yeah.
Why a rumor?
Well, I played in college. It was funny. I played 1 year in goal, and then I played sort of 3 years on the field, centre forward, centre back. Played around. Like anytime I'd play, I'd want to play centre back or centre forward, just to play on the field. But I was probably a better goalkeeper, slightly better. I wasn't a fantastic player, but I was probably a slightly better goalkeeper, and that was kind of my main position. But once I stopped getting paid to do it, I never went back in goal.
Really?
Really.
Why?
People kick balls really hard at you, and if you're not going to pay me, I don't want to. I'd rather just run around and be the one shooting the balls, I got older and smarter.
Hitting the goalkeeper, the other goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Nice. And so you coach in another university, right? And then go to Marshall?
Yes.
How many years have you been in Marshall?
So I'm going on 2024, will be my 8th season. So 7 years, 8th season coming up.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So to close up the question, who is Chris? The main people think the psychology that at 8, 9, and 10 years old, the boy found his passion. At that age, we can tell that we are passionate of something for the rest of the life. Can you explain me what did you do at 8, 9, 10 years old? Like a common day of Chris?
Yeah, I mean, a common day. I mean, we go to school, and at the first break we would play. We weren't allowed on the field in my elementary school, you know, so we would stamp on a can and crush it down, or a rock, and we would kick it round and play on the playground, you know, soccer, and then
on the floor, like
just on the
concrete.
Yeah, because we weren't allowed on the grass at the first break.
Yeah, okay.
But we would still play. You know, we would still make games, stamp on a can of Coke, or you know, whatever that may be, and kick that around, or you know, a rock or whatever. We'd kick something around, and then at lunch we would play soccer. You know, we'd be out on the grass field. We'd play when I was young. We'd play, you know, 3rd grade v 4th grade. We'd play on the bottom field, and 5th v 6th grade would play on the big field. You know, and so it was kind of this. You got elevated. You got asked to leave the 4th grade game to come to the 6th grade game. You know, and it was kind of it was just whatever we did. And I would get home and we'd play soccer. Or you know, on the weekends I would play for my high school team, and then I would play for the schoolboys on the Saturday, and then play for the club team on the Sunday, you know. And so it was just kind of playing these games on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then, you know, just playing all the time. And for me, it was, I agree with that, the passion you get found 8, 9, 10, because you see successful adults. Like, who does everybody look up to? And so my dad used to take me to the Newcastle games. We used to sit on the terrace, you know, in the 80s. And
in the 80s was like a famous forward, right?
Paul Gascoigne, Chris Waddle, Peter Beardsley.
Great team that was.
We were never a great team, but we had great players who kept getting sold to other clubs. But it was just seeing that everybody in my city thinks these guys are the best, the successful people. And so that does something to your brain, right? These are successful human beings, you know. We hope to do the same thing in our community, Huntington, with our players. We have so many young kids come to watch our games, and our guys are so good with the community and so good with the kids. But you know, they're seeing successful adults and everybody cheering and yelling, and like, we're hoping the spark is being created in all of these young 8, 9, 10-year-olds, and even younger who view this is how you be successful. You know, this is a successful adult, and this is what I want to copy.
Okay, and I understand you grew up in a soccer, football culture like in Mexico.
Yeah.
But I have a question to make you. Why soccer? A lot of hobbies, a lot of sports are, but why do you say soccer? Do you remember?
I don't ever remember choosing to play. I just remember wanting to play. Like, one of my favorite Christmas present, I got some like Adidas boots, leather boots. You know, first like a real nice pair of boots when I was younger.
The Copa Mundial.
I think it was probably the version below that, like the cheaper version, but it was still like, I thought they were fantastic, and I had an Adidas Tango ball, you know, and I don't remember, you know, many other presents that I got when I was a kid, but I remember like that was special, one. You know, and it was, and my parents, you know, they spoiled me at Christmas. They you know, I can't complain there for sure, but it was like, that's for some, that sticks in my mind, and all my friends would play, and that's what we do together, and it's just, it chose me more than I chose it.
You take it afterwards.
Yeah.
So perfect. That was Chris. That is Chris, right? Right now I'm gonna try to talk about more of the professional side of Chris. As I told you before we started the podcast, we have a lot of listeners that are interested in the student athlete here, life here in the States. And one of your program in Marshall is one of the best of the country, Division 1. And you were number 1 this year, so it's amazing. So I want to asking, what is your style of play? What you're hoping your team plays? How?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we want to be possession oriented. We want to have the ball. We want to dominate the play. So we want to tell the story. We want to be the protagonist in the game. We want to make the game. We want to take the game to our opponents, and we want to try and solve the problem that the opponents are presenting us with. You know, so we want to keep the ball. We want to move it. We want to play nice passes. We want to be exciting. We want to attack a lot. We want to score a lot of goals, but we want to build everything around. There's one ball on the pitch. We want to keep that ball and dictate what happens with the ball in the game.
Position, 100%. Position of the ball. And pass and pass and pass.
Yeah, pass and pass and pass, and we'll play. We have tenets of play, and you've got, if you want to play possession, you have to have threats in behind, otherwise it gets too complicated. But we'll play balls to wingers running in behind or forwards running in behind, of course. But we want to dictate the ball and play and keep the ball as much as we can.
Have you struggles or have challenges through your coaching life in Marshall to set up this style of play?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a very complicated style of play, and we've continued to evolve it every year. So I'll tell you, so the two best growth periods, my first 2 years at Marshall, we obviously I took over a team and sort of had to bring in my own guys and kind of recruit to my system, right? So we had some good players there for sure when I got there, but maybe not the most technical possession-oriented players, and had to adapt. In 2 years I learned so much about what works, what doesn't work, how we transition, which type of players are the best recruits for this university. So 2 years was a learning period. I felt like I learned so much. We had a losing record both years. We didn't win, we lost more games than we won. And then in 2019 we got it right. It sort of all of the work, it started to pay off, and we started to be able to recruit based on our style of play. So we were able to bring guys in, and then I think we won 16 games, we won the conference championship, we went to the nationals, first time ever in the history of the program. So we were able to go to nationals, and then the year later we had a couple more players and we won the national championship. And it was, those were really hard periods. Now the last 2 years after we've won, the national championship, the 2 years after were pretty hard because, teams adapt to us, teams study us a lot. We get their best game, because when you're a champion you get, everybody, there's a target on your back and everybody wants to beat you. So we were getting improved effort, and also teams, there's so many good coaches in college. I think there's some of the best colleges in the country are in college, and so they would figure out how to beat us and how to play against us. And also from our side of the ball, I just didn't feel like it quite felt right anymore. It wasn't quite in love with the style of play that we were playing and the things we were doing. So we really went back to the drawing board before this year, and we kind of developed a new style, and not a new style, a tweak on our style, and we kind of went through our game model, how we're teaching it, how we're talking to the student athletes, how we are developing players, how we want to go about possession, what we're going to try and do. Because when the goal kick rule changed and you could now make the first pass from a goal kick inside the box, it changed everything for me.
Yes, because you can work out from the bottom, right?
Yeah, because it becomes game theory, right? So it's like if we put a player here, they do this with the defender. So now we have to react to that. And so there's only so many solutions when they do that. So we kind of went back, and this year we had a really, really great group, like really good people, which was fantastic. But to see the play style develop as well was really good. And they started doing the things, and then all of a sudden I love the style. I love watching my team play again, and I feel like we're onto something, and so hopefully next year is a continuation of that, and we get better with it.
Perfect. So I understand your style of playing. You have to have a style of players, right? What will be that style or the player that you're looking for, you're scouting?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I always look for in a player, regardless of whether it's whatever position, even a goalkeeper, is that composure on the ball, the technical ability to play it under pressure. So when they're being pressed, how comfortable on their ball, do they have their head up, or do they have the technical skill to avoid that pressure and be able to play the pass or dribble past it? But that technical ability under pressure is the number one thing I look through from goalkeeper to striker. And obviously,
like small-sided games, or in a big side.
In a big side, we don't really scout so much from small-sided. We're always seeing 11v11 generally when we're looking at players. So it's that, how are they doing under pressure? What's their composure and technique on the ball? So that's the first common trait through everybody. And then obviously if you're looking for a winger, you want a bit of speed. If you're looking for a centre-back, you need a bit of size, hopefully. When we won it, we had a 5'11" and 5'7" centre-back, but they were both very technical and they could play. So they give up something in height, but they add something in technical ability.
That is height, no? Sorry, because I'm meters. I'm the scale of meters.
Meters would be 180 and 160 something.
Wow, they are tall. 180.
It was 180, 170 something. 5'11". Do you want me to do the math with my phone?
No, don't worry. But they are tall, not tall.
No, not tall. Short.
They are short.
Short. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Smaller than average.
Smaller than average. Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. So you just talked me about the field players. As I told you before, we began as a goalkeeper academy 8 years ago. Right now we have about 290 goalkeepers, and I know that goalkeepers are a little bit crazy, and it's good. You have to be crazy, as you told me, to be in the goalie to kick you, right? So, what would you see in the goalie to take it in the team?
Yeah, there's two aspects. I mean, I think the best way I can describe good goalkeepers is there's almost two separate aspects to the game now, right? It used to just be the one thing, but under the posts, right? How are the goalkeepers in the goal? Shot stopping, bravery. I think it takes a certain mindset. You know, you're really looking for the guy who doesn't mind staying after practice and having guys shoot balls at him, penalties, free kicks. You know, just always brave and wants to make the saves, and obviously good reactions, good hands, a good technique. You know, good recovery from a dive position. But then the game, 99% of their actions, especially for us, is the ball at the feet. So they almost have to be as good as a field player, you know, and they have to have that composure and, you know, a little bit of quickness on the ball and really good touch and sort of a lot of scanning the field, the same as like almost a central midfielder these days. There's so much asked of goalkeepers. You think of like Edison and Alisson, right, with Man City and Liverpool, just how confident they are with their feet. They're pretty good under the post as well, but it's the feet that differentiate. Manuel Neuer, right, was probably the best goalkeeper and the first one to take that quantum leap.
The first one to take that quantum leap.
I got to watch him train. I was at Bayern Munich and watch him train. Unbelievable, some of the like the service, you know, from 40 yards away, side volley, perfect, side volley, perfect, side volley, perfect. You know,
like with the hand.
No, just throw
but
volley.
It was like he was throwing with the hand.
Yeah,
it was easy.
It was
perfect.
And it's just like the level of quality and the level of composure to play, and he's pretty quick and he's got good touch, both feet. That's such a part of the modern game. It's such the way we play. Like we use our goalkeeper, as we talk about +1 football all the time, but the +1 starts with the goalkeeper. If we're going to play with the goalkeeper, they can't come and mark our goalkeeper with their goalkeeper. So we're always going to have one extra if our goalkeeper can play.
Oh, perfect. So I know that you give scholarships, right?
Yeah.
I know there's a process that it involves academics, football, economics, and everything. But in your experience, how is the first year of the international that goes to your team? The international, I have heard that they are struggling right now to adapt to a new culture. Not everybody, but most of them, because COVID hit them right in the middle of high school. So they are struggling right now. Is that okay saying that or not?
I haven't found it's usually case by case. I think most people do quite well. It's very daunting when you come into a new city. So you've got most people. So if we got players from Japan or Africa or South America, you know, they're coming from traditional foods that they eat, you know, traditional cultures into a new culture, new food, new time of eating, new time of training. Maybe some cultures do weight training, some don't. So they've got to adapt. I feel like what we've been able to create is we are so diverse. We have players from all over the world. We do become each other's support system, you know, where it's like we're all here from somewhere else. And so we kind of help protect each other and look after each other. And then the community, you know, with academic advisors, mental health professionals, even as much as just the staff members, the administration, like making sure they care about the players, just showing that arm around. And then the thing with us, we also have an amazing community. We have a lot of ex-players who still live in the area who will come in and put an arm around, you know, maybe a player from Brazil who misses home but come to my house, have dinner, you know, enjoy that. I think it's more than a team. It has to be a community to make that transition easier. There are always people who struggle, and we have to be very cognizant of that these days with everybody's gone through COVID and coming to a different country and sort of the depression and isolation and loneliness that can happen. But we hope we can avoid that and help create a community to welcome. And we know there's going to be a transition. I always like the second year where the player feels a bit more comfortable and then they can kind of really take off. But yeah, it is a thing that we have to be aware of.
Yeah, because you have to see the soccer side, the student academics, and then the mental health of the player. So how will be the process of recruiting of yourself? do you go to video? You go to ID camps? Do you hear from agencies? What do you rely on more?
Yes, I do rely on the very first thing that we're going to look for is outside of transfers. So college transfers are a little bit different. I can talk about that in a moment. But internationally, I do rely on having good contacts. Nice to meet a lot of different people, and maybe it's a showcase that they put on, or maybe, hey, I've got one player you should go watch, and so fly over to watch a Regionalliga game in Germany, or you went to watch a high school game in Japan just last week. You kind of rely on these people to kind of set, and then from there you're looking at recruiting the type of player that you like, and obviously you're competing with other schools to try and sell. I'm trying to sell Marshall, they're trying to sell their school, and it kind of goes through that process. But I find it's just having as many contacts as possible, and then my staff, my other coaches I work with, I'm very lucky to work with some great coaches. They have their contacts, and we try to find the best fit, the best players for us, because we're pretty confident and familiar with which players will work for us now, so we got better and better at it. But it's not a science. We can't say this great player, if there's a great player from Monterrey and he's the best player around, and we can't say that he's going to come in and be successful. We can try and we hope he's going to be successful, but it doesn't always happen, right? If we could, I guess I've been told once, we always said we fail. I was talking to a professional coach in the Premier League, and they were saying, their recruitment officer was saying, we were saying we lose 25% of kids, like we get them wrong, they just don't quite work out the way we hope. And he said, if you could do that, you'd be a millionaire in Premier League, because they do 50-50 is great. Every other player is great. So it's a bit more of an art and a science, and there's a lot goes into it. Like we mentioned, do they adapt to the environment? Do they feel comfortable enough to perform at their best? When they're at home with their mom and dad and eating family food and with their friends, they're free and they play. And maybe they come away and they're worried about school, or they're worried about the weather, or they're worried about all sorts of different cultural things, and they don't perform as well. So it really is a mix.
And so you see with relations and friends that give you heads up, this player is good. But I heard that many players send the coaches videos and emails. See me. Do you see all the emails? Do you take time, or your staff take the time?
Yeah, we try really hard to. It's we kind of have a general filter of, we probably get thousands and thousands of videos, and we try to watch as many as we can. And then we try to filter them through to, like, resume-wise, do we know these guys are going to be good enough for us? And we try and focus on, how we're going to spend our scholarship money that we have available. We have 9.9 scholarships, so we try and focus on, spending that money first, in terms of, like, so we try and get the quality players, and then maybe fill into the guys with budgets, comes into it. Sometimes if they, if we run out of scholarship money, can we get what we would call somebody to come on a low scholarship or a walk-on, to try and come onto the team. But yeah, we try to watch as many as we can, and if somebody's exciting, you always get a random, video. Somebody recruits you and sends you their stuff, and you're like, oh, I like this guy. Let's go see a little bit more, and then go watch. I always like to fly. Personally, I like to go see everybody before we sign them, but sometimes I can't do that. So, if my associate head coach Josh can go watch him play, I trust his opinion as much as my own. So, one of us has to put eyes on him and see him play live in his own environment to really, before we'll make a decision.
Oh, nice. So, if a Mexican right now player is hearing you, which will be the best way to contact or being seen by Marshall?
Yeah, I think if you have my email address and we've talked, so can the player send it to you and you send it to me? Would be a good way. That would be good. Or you can give him my email address and he can send me personally, a video of his, and we'll check the level and it would be. We don't have any. We used to have one Mexican player when I first got there, Brian Mendoza, but I think his family moved over to the US and he'd gone to college. But I think it's definitely an area that is underexploited for sure. And I think we could do a better job down in Mexico. Yeah,
I think that Mexico right now, the student athlete community is growing. I think that the kids, the new generations, they are thinking, okay, I'm not going to be pro, but I can be at the level just beside down or at a side of being a pro, like being a student athlete. Because I think, and as is the next question, being in Marshall as a soccer player is demanding. You have to be good academic, you have to be a good player, and you have to be good fitness.
Yes.
So it's like being a pro.
Yeah.
And adding the academic. How do you help your students in your team to equilibrate everything? Because you have 4 parts if you make the social part.
Yeah.
How do you make that? Your roster is like 30, 35?
29.
29. It's a lot of people, a lot of boys.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you help them to process that?
Yeah, we start with looking for the right fit players coming in who understand that. We look for the passion for the game, and we look for quite a diverse roster, and then we want to have problem solvers. We want to have guys who come in who have a mentality of like, I'm going to find the solution, myself, and so they have to be self-driven, which is kind of something we screen for when we talk, and we don't want to. If we're dragging somebody through the paperwork for administration, for admissions or NCAA eligibility, like that's never a good sign for us. If we force them to do it, because they're not going to work, for us. And we do have a professional environment. We try very, very hard to train like professionals. I mean, the guys come in, so they have a team meal, breakfast before training session, so they'll go have breakfast at 8 o'clock. They'll come in at 9 o'clock into the building. We'll do video. They'll do treatments for any of the rehab till 9:30. We'll do video for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour sometimes. Then we have a strength and conditioning coach take them through maybe an activation warm-up or maybe a strength and conditioning session, and then we'll train after that, for 90 minutes or so after that. So it's a full professional day.
And then go to study, right?
Right, and then they go to lunch together, for after training. They go eat their last meal with us, lunch, and then they have to go to class. And they spend the afternoon, then they've got to go home at night and they've got to study, so they say for every 1 hour you're in class, you should be studying 2 hours outside of class. So if they've got 2-3 hours that day, that means they've got 4 to 6 hours of homework and study to kind of really get the material down. So it is very, very demanding, and we need super driven people who want to be excellent, who are brave enough to take on the challenge of doing that, but they have to be adults. We don't work with children. We work with adults who want this more than we want it for them.
It's not easy for the kids doing that.
No.
You have to be adults in a very quick way. That's my next question. How do you deal with parents of your students, or you don't talk with any parents?
Yeah, to talk to parents, I just want to have good conversations, with the parents. We're going to play the best players, and so the days of parents like yelling and screaming, like, I want to work with adults, who are going to handle their own career, and the parents should just come and be fans and support them. And we're going to make the best decisions for the team, which sometimes means their son, won't play, which is just, it is kind of the way it is, but they should still be positive and sharp and okay, I don't mind asking why, but I'm going to have that conversation with your son. I'm going to tell your son what you need to do, that's you just. And we have a good relationship with our parents who come and they're very sort of grateful for the opportunity for their kids most of the time, but they want their kids to be successful in it. And I'm a parent, so I totally understand that. But, there is an environment, there is a sort of a culture, there is a sort of system to what we're doing. So the players who play, we feel, are the players who deserve to play. Parents we find for the most part are super supportive, but I want to work with adults. I don't want to work with children who need their parents to fight their battles for them,
Because I ask you because we have a lot of parents in our academy, but they are youth level, so the parents get involved a lot. Yeah. I understand when it's easier when they are 18 years old, 20 years old, they are grown-ups. It's easier.
Yeah.
So thank you a lot, Chris. We're going to end this episode with a little game.
Okay.
It's a Q&A game, okay? You have to tell me the first thing that comes into your mind.
Yeah.
Okay? Ready?
Yeah.
The first one. The past of Chris.
Football.
The present of Chris.
Family and football.
The future of Chris.
Family, football, and more national championships.
Your mentor.
My mentor. I think I had a really good coach in college. Dan Kelly, was really good as a person and treated me really well and showed me how to treat other people. I really, appreciate him, and obviously my parents.
What's the name of the coach?
Dan Kelly.
Dan Kelly. Yeah. Perfect. Your inspiration.
My kids.
You remember last year, it was a TV announcement when Peyton Manning and David Beckham have a discussion. Soccer or football?
Football.
Football.
Use a foot and a ball, so football.
Football. You tell your students football, or you use soccer?
I say football a lot because it's just I can't help it. My paycheck says soccer, so maybe I'll say soccer too. I don't mind.
Perfect. Pelé o Maradona?
Pelé.
Messi o Cristiano?
Messi.
The best striker of all time?
Alan Shearer.
Ah, nice one. I never hear that. He's a very good player.
Leading goal scorer in the Premier League history.
Yeah.
Played for Newcastle.
And Newcastle is getting new players, good players.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a good future with Newcastle.
I hope so.
The best goalie of all time?
Manuel Neuer.
Manuel Neuer. If you were a pro right now, which team you would like to play?
I'd either like to play for De Zerbi at Brighton or Pep at Man City.
Pep Man City. The next question is which coach? But you have told me right now.
Yeah, De Zerbi I really like. Roberto De Zerbi is a top coach, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than Pep?
Hard to say because De Zerbi's always had lower level teams in the league and made them do really well, and Pep's always had the top teams in every country. But I mean, Pep's a genius and changed the game completely. So
changed the game with the Barcelona. For me, was the first time that I see.
Yeah.
Is like juega bonito, joga bonito. You remember Brazil?
Yeah.
But even more stylish.
So beautiful. That Barcelona team was amazing. Actually, one of my first dates with my wife was going to watch them in the Champions League final against Man U in 2011. And she's like, she never really watched soccer. She's like, this is beautiful. It's amazing. Is it always like this? And I'm like, no, it's not like this. You're going to be a Newcastle fan. It's going to be terrible.
Yes. So, you remember back in the 90s in the MLS, when they tie a game, they do shootouts.
The breakaway shootouts.
Yeah. If you can change the rules, you will stay with penalty shots or the shootouts?
Can I say neither?
Oh, okay, why?
What I would do is take the goalkeepers off, keep playing, take goalkeepers out. Nobody can use their hands. All right, and then you take, so obviously going to put a defender, then you take 2 players off the field and 2 players off the field until one team wins.
Wow, that's...
Because at least it's still soccer, because the team that shoots penalties the best, okay, it's one small aspect of the game, but I don't think it's a true reflection. But if you took the goalkeepers out, obviously teams are going to drop somebody back in and take 2 players out after 2 minutes, 2 more players come off, 2 minutes, 2 more players come off. I think you find a winner still playing soccer a little bit,
And that's a good idea. Very good idea. Yeah. I never heard that.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna make it in a hometown tournament. It's gonna be
try it out. It's an indoor thing. So when I came to Canada, we play indoor.
Yeah.
And when I went to overtime, you take the goalies out, and then you take 1 player off each team.
In overtime?
It's not my idea. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
In the league, I played an indoor one in Canada. It's winter, it snows, so you have to play indoors. So there's a lot of indoor football, and that was the league that we used to play. And you used to take the goalies off in overtime. And then take 1 player off, then take 1 player off, take 1 player till you have a winner.
Oh, that's very good. Good idea. Good idea. So, imagine that you are in the final of the World Cup, and you can win the World Cup by 0 goals or in penalty shots.
What do you mean by winning it with
1-0? You score 1 goal
and win 1-0.
1-0. 1-0 or penalty shot? 1-0.
1-0.
That's all.
Easy question. 1-0. Done.
For you, will be better a goalkeeper with good in the feet or good in the air? Just one.
Good feet.
Bad in the air.
Unfortunately.
Yeah?
Unfortunately. For the way we play, it has to be a prerequisite. Now, we will only get guys who are good in the air and good with feet, but the first priority is good with feet.
And height matters for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as they can do the job. Like our goalie this year was 6 foot, so smaller. What's that? 6 foot is like 180.
Right. Okay, it's taller than I.
Yeah, so he was but shorter compared to like when I was a goalie and played pro. Like I was 6'3", so 188, something like that. But the other goalies were 195, 196, and I got told I was too small. And you're like, okay, well,
That's fine.
But I want to take the person and the overall goalkeeper out before the height. So good with the feet, good shot stopping, before the height of the goalkeeper.
Perfect. For you, if you want to choose right now, back in the day, you would choose student athlete or a professional career?
I guess I did both, but student athlete. I think it's changed my life and given me opportunities that I never would have received.
Perfect. The best coach that you ever had. That was your coach, not coaching with you. Was your coach?
Probably Dan Kelly was so good to me. I thought I had a good experience with him.
Like the mentor, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So to end this, all the guests that come here, I ask them to say a phrase or something that represents yourself that will be imprinted in digital forever.
I believe there's more on this planet. There's more that unites us than divides us. I think soccer is a great thing, right? We all share Pele, we all share Maradona, right? We all share Messi and Ronaldo. We have a shared history. We all watch the World Cups together. We're very, very similar. We shouldn't be apart. We shouldn't be fighting with each other. I think there's so much that unites us as people, right? We don't have to worry about what the stupid politicians are doing and armies, that get called into Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. I think there's so much that's similar between us, and we have so many the same dreams. We should just look after each other, and we are all in this together. I talk to my guys all the time. Look after each other. We're in this together. That's what we should, hopefully do across the world. And I think that's a great thing about football is it unites so many people, and probably keeps us a little sane and from blowing each other up.
Yeah, happy. Yeah. And you have. I believe that in your team you have different nationalities, different culture, different ethnics, and afterwards you see a team together, and you think the world can do this if I can do it here.
100%.
Chris, I have to tell you, it's an honor having you here. Thank you for your time. I think there's going to be a lot of questions in this podcast. I'm going to bother you with emails.
That's no problem.
And maybe we can do another video so we can answer all these questions.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Gino.
Thank you for everything. Wait a minute, I'm going to say goodbye in Spanish.
Okay.
Figuras, ha sido un podcast muy enriquecedor. Espero que les guste mucho. Recuerden todas las preguntas y todo lo que tengan en redes sociales, en Instagram. Aquí nos pueden encontrar. Les mando un fuerte abrazo y nos vemos la siguiente semana. Adiós.